let's start with Arsenal's victory and convincing victory at Ellen Road over Leeds United. 4-0 the margin of that victory. The Sun on Sunday goes with Mad 1. And it refers to the performance of Noni Madueke after he was a late replacement for the injured Bukayo Saka, who's injured in the warm-up. Martin, given what went before for Arsenal, 2 points from their last 3 games, put into context how big a win that was for them.
Well, it's very important because at this stage in the season, City catching them, Villa catching them, everyone was talking about is it a wobble? Have they got the mental strength? And Leeds is a really hard place to go. Ellen Road is a very, very hard place to go. And really, they never gave Leeds a sniff. There was no point in that game where you thought Leeds had any advantage on them whatsoever. The set-piece stuff continues to succeed and annoy everybody in sort of equal measure, really. But it's incredibly effective. It persuaded the Leeds goalkeeper to punch the ball into his own net yesterday, which, you know, is never really helpful. And they looked like a team that were in charge of the title race, which is what they are. I mean, you know, last week getting booed off, having lost their first home game since May the 3rd was astonishing, really, because they're in command of this. They're in command of their Champions League, you know, of the Champions League table as well. Whether the meat war, I think Johnny Northcroft called it in the Sunday Times today, whether the meat war will work in the latter stages of the Champions League or whether you'll just get a free kick given against you, I'm not quite sure. But at the moment, and certainly domestically, it's theirs to lose.
Jackie, just very quickly in the Observer, Rory Smith, who was at Ellen Road, said seeing is believing as Arsenal thrashed Leeds to go 7 points clear. He says Arsenal fans are haunted. This is in reference to this narrative that there's a real nervousness from the Arsenal fans, particularly at the Emirates. Arsenal fans are haunted not only by recent memories of advantages squandered, opportunities missed, promise unfulfilled, but by the knowledge that this time it really should be different. The pressure of being top might be a privilege, but it is a pressure nevertheless. I mentioned the noise surrounding every single Arsenal game, week in, week out. With that in mind, how big a show of character do you think that was from Mikel Arteta and his team yesterday?
I think it was absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. The idea that they'd go there with all the talk, all the noise, all the stress, every press conference is about pressure, of course, for obvious reasons. And the fact that they showed up and were so dominant, and James Ollie in ESPN said it wasn't necessarily fun, it was quite formulaic. He said, but they strangled the life out of Leeds United. Excellent. I mean, full marks for going to such a difficult place and doing that. And I think Leeds away is probably one of the teams you don't particularly want to go to when your confidence is quite fragile. And I think on that lead situation, the fact that they were 4 points clear, now 7, I rang Warren Barton in the week, who's my co-commentator for World Cups and Euros on the men's tournaments in the US. And I asked him about what it was like in the dressing room when he was at Newcastle United, and they were 12 points clear in January over Manchester United. And as we all know, that lead dissipated. I said to him, what happened in there? And he said, well, the pressure got to everybody. He said, we chopped and changed formations, we chopped and changed personnel, and a few of us, Les Ferdinand and me, wanted to have meetings about how we all felt, and that wasn't necessarily what was the done thing. It wasn't the pointing the finger at anybody. But they didn't do that, and they were just consumed by that pressure. And contrasting that to what Mikel Arteta's been saying is that we are having meetings, we are talking about how we feel. And his quotes in the week about, come on fans, just enjoy the fun. Let's just enjoy this. Let's hop on the boat, I think he said. I think he's handled it so far really well. I think there's still a long way to go. Long way to go, and you know, we can slalom every week as to whether they've blown it or whether they're absolutely nailing it. It's somewhere in between, but the way they dealt with it yesterday was excellent.
Riyadh, Oliver Holt from the Mail on Sunday was at Ellen Road as well. He says in other seasons, in other title pursuits, maybe Arsenal would have crumbled. Maybe they would have been beaten before a ball had been kicked. Maybe they would have succumbed to the narrative and felt sorry for themselves about Saka, who was injured before the game. Maybe their winless run would have been stretching to 4 by now. But this Arsenal did not crumble. Jackie alluded to it there. I was at the news conference from Mikel Arteta before this game on Friday. To me, he seemed calm. He seemed a man who was showing great authority and a little bit of spikiness as well, in good measure, in a good way, is how I read it. For all the nervousness with the fans, does he deserve a little bit of credit about how he's handling himself, particularly in these news conferences pre and post match?
He does. Look, we're all going to talk about bottle and nerve and whether or not they're going to choke, right? Yeah, it's a valid discussion. Runner-up 3 times in a row, it's what Arsenal do, right? But you mentioned Saka there. The biggest variable here, I don't necessarily think, is Arsenal's psychology. It's just the fact that they've got this incredible squad. Look what Madueke did yesterday. That's what they've got this season that they haven't had before. So that's been the big shift. Then it becomes a question of, can they hold it together, or are they going to fall apart? And it's like, I've looked at it since New Year's and that little run. They've dropped 7 points in 3 games. It's a little bit like watching Rory McIlroy go around Augusta. He leaves a putt short. That's it. It's Rory's choking. He's gone. His head's gone. Rory's not going to be able to hold it together. Arsenal lose against Man United. They're falling apart. But look at what Man City are doing. Man City have dropped more points in January than Arsenal have. Aston Villa have lost Tielemans, Kamara. They haven't got McGinn. They haven't got a Madueke to throw into the system. So who's chasing Arsenal? It's not 2019 where it's Man City and Liverpool going Hagler Hearns. It's a vastly reduced Man City in the past 18 months. They've gotten better, but it's not Man City anywhere close to their best. Where this gets interesting is if it does all click for City. I would love to see that. If Arsenal are getting chased by a full-blooded Man City, will they choke them? Because at the moment, the City that's chasing them isn't that scary, and that's where I think Arsenal have got an advantage. But all of which is secondary to the fact that they've got this incredible squad where if someone is wobbling, you can sit him out and bring in someone brilliant.
And we've been waiting for everyone to work out the set piece stuff, but it hasn't happened yet. And we're in first day of February now. So, and no one's worked it out yet. People are still punching the ball into their own net. People are still looking really, really vulnerable at corners and free kicks and everything. So it might not happen. Unless there is a fundamental reinterpretation of the rules and referees start going, no, you can't just have everyone running and then just crowd around the goalkeeper and stop him moving. Unless something like that happens, I don't see anyone working this out, because Arsenal Man U last week, there was stuff going on, and the ball would come in. You're thinking, right, well, there's 4 fouls by Man U on Arsenal. There's 4 fouls by Arsenal on Man U. You don't know who's committed the first foul. You've got no way of making a decision if you're the referee. No way at all. So they just let it all slide. And it's very, very interesting. They've worked out a way around the system. They've worked out a way to score when not necessarily from open play all the time.
Just picking up on that, Martin, Jackie, in the Sunday Times, and Martin mentioned it before about this meat wall and when Arsenal have set pieces. But Jonathan Northcroft, who was at Ellen Road, says this: Mikel Arteta once held up 2 water bottles in a press conference. One represented set-piece goals, the other goals from open play. And his question to the reporters was, what's the difference? And here was a brilliant exposition of the Spaniards' approach to the game. First, his side thumped Leeds the ugly way, and then they put on their silk gloves and showed they can cuff you with elegance as well. Is too much being made of the set-piece routine, and are we ignoring that Arsenal are actually playing some good football around that as well?
Johnny Northcroft should write for a living, shouldn't he? He's quite good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, not bad at all. Yeah, look, I mean, you can talk about it all you like, and obviously there's the Anthony Gordon quotes last week about the Premier League and European football's better because it's less of the set piece kind of bullying or whatever. But Arsenal have done all right in the Champions League, haven't they, as well? But I think the thing with the set pieces, it's almost like an insurance policy. Yes, that's where they're getting so many of their goals from, but it's not like they can't play football. The concern would be if the set pieces dry up or something goes wrong, or Declan Rice were to pick up an injury, which, touch wood. Credit to him, by the way, for reaching 300 Premier League appearances, the 5th youngest to do so behind 4 other Englishmen, is absolutely astonishing. He tends to be available all the time. So the concern would be if he were to be injured and if they were to struggle from open play. But they're still in the top 7 or so of goals from open play. It's not as if they cannot score. So, I mean, who cares, really? If they win the league, that's what matters. And they're doing really well. I just think there's still a long way to go. And whilst they have 2 players for every position, and in theory everything's going well and they should still beat Manchester City to the title, of course, I just think psychologically this is the big thing. And the way they're talking, it's what they're trying to guard against. But, again, referring to what Warren Barton said, he said the difference with their team compared to this Arsenal, who he supports, is the fact that they only had Peter Beardsley in that squad 30 years ago, who had won a title before. David Batty joined in the January, but they didn't have that experience, whereas Arsenal have got about 5 players, I think, who've won league titles previously, and that's obviously going to help them.
Riyadh, their set-piece team is what the cynics will say, but scoring every kind of goal is the hallmark of a Champions winning team, isn't it?
Yeah, but even if they are a set-piece team, it's not a dirty word. It's really effective if it's a problem.
But it's been made out to be, hasn't it?
It has. But if it's some lesser skill, if it's some base element of football, go on then, geniuses, go and figure it out. Go and find a way to defend it. They haven't. They can't. Arsenal have mastered it. And all good teams have always been good at set pieces. They've been good at defending them. They've been good at scoring them. Arsenal do it better than everyone else, and they can play other football. No one's gonna turn to me and say Declan Rice is a Route 1 footballer. No one's going to turn to me and say that Bukayo Saka's some kind of limited element. They've got fantastic footballers. They've got a team that's built on a brilliant back four and an excellent goalkeeper. They've got brilliant technical players. Odegaard's not a clogger. Odegaard's not kicking someone 5 foot up in the air with an early reducer. They play everything really, really well, and they score a load of set pieces. It's like, look, I don't find them as beautiful to watch as, say, the earlier versions of Klopp, the really, the real intensity. I don't put it in a bracket with Guardiola's best sides, which I would still say would be the Aguero versions more so than the Haaland ones. But it's a brilliant side. It's a complete side. It does everything. And again, more to the point, if someone drops out, if Calafiori's not fit, you've got Nketiah stepping in. They've got 2 players who can step into a system, and the level doesn't drop. I think it's a brilliant.
It's a legacy argument, isn't it? It's a legacy argument. The Arsenal set-piece thing is a legacy argument that in 10 years' time, do we look back on this season and go, oh yeah, well that was the corner and throwing season when it all, when it got boiled down to set-piece football, and it doesn't compare, as you say rightly there, it doesn't compare to, say, the peak Manchester City, where you're just watching it and going, this is incredible. It doesn't compare to that, but you've got to work out a way to defend against it.
Is there an argument that, given the length of time it's been, 22 years since they won the title, and the desperation and the willingness they have to try and get it over the line this time, that we might see, if they do win it this season, that next season we might see a more expansive style of play, because they won't have that pressure so much on them that when is this title going to be delivered?
There is definitely that, and you also got to think that all of these coaches have got to work out a way of defending defending against the set pieces. That has got to be coming. There is a reason why very direct football doesn't actually win the World Cup or the Champions League or whatever, because the best coaches eventually, right, this is how you play against it. So yes, that's quite possible. But if you're a fan of Arsenal, you're certainly not going to care, because, 1-0 to the Arsenal is still celebrated, even though everyone else watching George Graham's teams thought, they were a bit direct, they were a bit long for that, even for that era of English football. People thought, yeah, George, it's a bit long, and they've got that offside trap or whatever. It's not the most fascinating thing to watch. Arsenal fans don't care, they still sing about it.
And he was called upon, and he did deliver. First Premier League assist for Nani Madueke. Everyone talks about Arsenal's squad this season. Think about the difference last term when Bukayo Saka was injured. Now they've got Nani Madueke to come in and help create that first goal.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant today. He really was. Really direct. No one wants to see people get injured, but you've got plenty of backup. And this first goal here, he just recycled it. Declan Rice out to the left-hand side. He does so well here to get half a yard. Because he's commits, he's very dangerous, and this ball is brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Really, really hard one, Gary tell you, to defend that with the way it went in. And Zubamendi on the end of it was an excellent header, really was.
Just looking at it from a defensive point of view, you just see Gruev then. I think you can see he's took a look, and he just needs to drop in. I think he needs to react once he's seen it, fill that space, which ultimately is left. And if Zubamendi didn't score, I'm sure Kai Havertz was going to. So, just drop in that front post space, and then maybe you'll be able to clear it out. But it's a great heading, it's a great ball, and a great start for Arsenal.
Yeah, Ray said difficult to defend against. Why? That kind of cross.
Because the header doesn't. The pace is on the ball, so he just needs to glide it in, to glance it in. And from a defensive point of view, it's easier to defend if you're in the right position. And that's what I was saying. I don't think he was in the right position if somebody's in that front space area. But it's difficult when players are running across you, and all they need is that little glance because the pace is already on the ball.
If they were disappointed with the defending at that goal, it would be even worse for the second one, which is an own goal by the goalkeeper, Darlow. Let's take a look at this moment. And Gary, we can stick with you. You can tell us everything that's gone wrong from a Leeds perspective.
Oh, again, another set piece from Arsenal. They're so strong. I just feel that the goalkeeper, Darlow, has got to do better. I think with the flight of the ball, he needs to read the flight of the ball and just come and take it. Be dominant, come and collect it, scream his head off, let the defenders know that he's there, and just deal with the situation. I mean, the second phase of this is Calvert-Lewin. Obviously, he's a striker in that position. He's not a natural defender. Get your head on the ball if you can, and have the argument after. But ultimately, for me, the keeper will be disappointed, I'm sure. He just needs to read the flight of the ball and come and collect that.
But for Arsenal, own goals at it again.
Yes, absolutely. And it was a brilliant ball in, though, it really was. The way he whipped into that front post, it's difficult to defend. But he's got to take out his defender as well there. He's got to get something on that. And it was a poor goal to give away. But Arsenal take it and move on. And, 2-0 half-time, they're pretty happy how that first half went.
Well, into the second half then, and Gyökeres makes it 3-0. A great ball from Martinelli, who came on and got involved in the action.
Well, that's the difference. I was talking to Gary earlier. I mean, the bench, other guys come on as well, and Martinelli got so many options. He does so well there, just to get that little toe on it, to keep it in, and then he whips it back on his left foot. And to be fair, Gyökeres, he's had his critics, but he made a really good run here to get across to Bogle.
I just think from a defensive point of view, Goodmanson, I think he just needs to hold his position. I think he's edging to come out to Timber, isn't he? If he just stays in position, I think the more dangerous ball that's going to hurt you is through the middle. Stay in position, let that ball go to Timber, and then you can come across and the defenders can slide across. He goes early and leaves that space, but the delivery is great, and Bogle just gets the wrong side.
It's just that split-second movement.
It is.
Gyökeres.
Yeah. You can see it.
He's in front of him now, and he does well there. To be fair, it looks like he's been pulled a little bit, but he gets a volley on it and into the back of the net. And that was a big goal for Arsenal, because at that time Leeds were really pushing to get back into the game, and the crowd were really responding to the Leeds dominance. But that third goal really killed the game off.
Yeah, period of dominance for Leeds. Arsenal managing to get onto the score sheet through Gyökeres, who is in a two-horse race with own goals for the Arsenal Golden Boot as it stands. He's leading the way, though. It was a 4th goal in 6 games in all competitions. Very big for his confidence. He has cut quite a controversial figure. People still can't quite figure out, what they make of him at Arsenal this season.
Yeah, he's still got a bit to do there, and I think it's key what you said. We said off air, didn't we? I think confidence is key for him, and you're going to get confidence as a striker by playing well and scoring goals, and that'll do him the world of good today. Like Ray said, it's just the reaction. That reaction in the box, split second, gets in front of his defender and puts it away. So certainly do his confidence the world of good.
Yeah, this is his goal once again, just also in the right place at the right time. What do you like about it, Ray?
Well, I like the movement, because as soon as Martinelli comes back, he knows he's going to make his run across Bogle. He got a little bit ball watching, Bogle, as I'm being honest, but that's what strikers have got to do, make their runs, and hopefully the ball will be delivered into that area. But when he's getting pulled back, he does enough to get something on it, like a shin really, to pull it into the back of the net, and that's all good strikers do that, and he'd be delighted with that goal, and I'm sure Mikel Arteta
Delighted as well, because he took Gyökeres off, replacing with Gabriel Jesus, and he got in on the party.
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of the squad. As we said before, we just asked Madueke, and he said, look, everybody's in it together. Obviously, everybody wants to start the game, but you're going to play a big impact as well off the bench, and this is a fantastic goal, it really is. Great turn there, but he just gets that half a yard, here we go, that shows his quality there. And what a finish, no chance for the Darlow in goal. But if you see his movement here, it's really, really good. Top draw, he makes that run there. But here, that little turn, and now that half a yard he's got there, and he puts it into the bottom corner. That's a brilliant goal, it really is.
It's a superb piece of skill, isn't it? Superb piece of skill. Yeah. And the impact from the bench. I just said Martinelli with the assist. Noni was not expecting to start, he did assist. And this man Jesus comes off the bench and scores that goal. It's just a touch of class, touch of quality, and an impact from the bench. You see the strength and depth in this squad.
We talked a lot in the build-up to this game about the psychological battle that Arsenal were facing. No wins in 3 Premier League games. Their lead at the top cut down. They've done the business today. Put this win into context for us in terms of their response and the fact that they're now 7 clear and they can watch tomorrow.
Yeah, they're at arm's length again now, aren't they? And they need a job to do. I'm sure they felt the pressure leading into this game. It's not always a bad thing to feel the pressure, the responsibility to go out and win. And they did that in style. So credit to Arsenal. And like we said before, chalked a game off. And they're in a good place. They're in a good position at this moment in time.
And also, I mean, look at the goal difference as well. You never know how close it's going to be at the end of the season. And to score 4 goals away from home, puts him in a decent goal difference as well, which could be important at the end of the season. Who knows?
Noni, this could have been much tougher. A lot of people thought it would be, but that was assured. It was confident. It showed what self-belief you have.
Yeah, no, today we were excellent, to be fair, in all phases of play. Set pieces, in possession, out of possession, today was a top performance from us, and came here, we know it's a tough atmosphere, it's a tough ground. They're a tough team to play against. They've been in good form recently, but it was an amazing performance from us, and yeah, we deserved everything we got.
And you embraced your opportunity as well, because obviously with the injury to Bukayo, you didn't know you were going to be starting the game.
Yeah, no, just in the warm-up towards the end, but yeah, we're professionals, so we're prepared, and yeah, happy that we got the win, and yeah, it was a good game from me.
But you yourself as well, with the numbers, I heard the supporters, they were to the right of me, they were just singing your name.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. That's obviously it means a lot to our team that they come over and so long away from home, but they come and support, and we had them the whole 90 minutes and they really pushed us on, so yeah, they were top today.
What does this do for you as players? Because it's not just the players out on the pitch, is it? The 11 who play regularly, it's the squad, it's the balance, it's the mood.
Yeah, no, we've been fighting on all 4 fronts since the start of the season, so everyone knows they need to be ready. Everyone's contributing a lot, so yeah, I think it goes without saying that all the players are ready, and when they're called upon, try and do their best for the team.
Is it just about regulating? I talked about it pre-match to Declan Rice. Is it just about regulating the mindset?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think every single game or every few days you got to be ready to perform, because even if you don't play on a Wednesday, you might have to play on a Saturday, and then we got another game on Tuesday. So Champions League, all the cups. So it's just about staying locked in and staying in that zone that when you're called upon, you're ready to